What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 7, and we start today's episode off with some player training as usual, and also as you can see I added quite a lot of players to the transfer list, so we are now in December, just a few weeks to go before the January transfer window opens, and of course our first transfer window of the season, and there are a lot of players with their contracts up come the end of the season who quite frankly are deadwood players. They're either young with not enough potential to succeed here, or old players that we want to sort of push on and try and get a bit of cash for before their contracts run down. And also there were 2 contract extensions I gave as well. I delegated the renewals, one for Ravel Morrison, who has looked pretty lively this season in his debut year for the Blades. Crucial squad role was all my assistant manager could do, but a 4-year contract, 40 grand a week, I'm okay with that. Ties him down for another 4 years. And also Lundstrom got a new 4-year deal too, much cheaper salary, and also a squad rotation squad role as well. But you see the full list of names on the transfer list here, including Phil Jagielka and also David McGoldrick as well, 2 of the only players who have actually featured in the team a little bit this season. And also I thought I'd show you my transfer shortlist as well. Obviously in the last episode I'd ask you guys for transfer suggestions, and I have mentioned it before, particularly in comments to you guys. I am scouting a lot of the names you guys have given me in the comment section down below, so if you don't see his name on the shortlist, then there's a good chance that I still have a full scout report on the guy. But to begin with, in the first season, there's a reason my shortlist features primarily British and Irish players, and that's because I'm trying to keep this career mode as realistic as possible for as long as I possibly can. And Sheffield United have got a very good recent history of signing British players, particularly from the lower leagues, and developing those players and not going too far afield for their talent. And that's what I want to do as well. Keep it realistic in the first season. Look for those British players either in the lower leagues or perhaps the SPL, for example, and then look further afield from season 2 onwards and start signing more foreign players. There were a couple of foreign players on there in foreign leagues. We had Loic Remy, perhaps a return to the Premier League with former QPR and Chelsea striker. There was Jordan Torunariga, the young Hertha Berlin centre-back. Anyone who watched my Millwall Football Manager say will know about him. But yeah, for the most part, I'm keeping it quite realistic here and looking for players that are most likely going to be based in or coming from the United Kingdom and Ireland. But still, for the first game of today's episode, on the back of our big win away at Carrow Road against Norwich City, we take on Aston Villa here at Bramall Lane in another relegation 6-pointer. Back-to-back relegation 6-pointers here, and unlike against Norwich, we didn't start off as strong as we did here in front of the home fans. 1-0 to the Villa, across into the centre, failed to be dealt with, and it was like deja vu, because in the 33rd minute McGinn made it 2-0, and again it was another cross into the centre that we failed to deal with. And I've lost track of how many goals we conceded this season that were just like these opening 2 for Aston Villa in the first half here. Crosses into the middle, which our centre-backs or our wing-backs just fail to deal with. And that is the most frustrating thing about these goals we're conceding, because they're preventable. They are preventable goals. Both of those 2 goals in the first half of Villa there were preventable, and we just failed to deal with it. Really scrappy defending, and we get punished for it. So 2-0 is the final score. We got one chance in the second half, really, in a very nervy game. Billy Sharp firing that shot wide the post and behind for a goal kick. And you see by the stats too, whilst we may have had 3 more shots than Aston Villa, we only had 2 shots on target. We didn't really trouble Tom Heaton throughout the entire game. Aston Villa get the win. They took their chance in the first half and get a big 3 points in the relegation 6-pointer. So we get a taste of our own medicine there. We beat Norwich on the road 2-0 in a relegation 6-pointer, and now we get beat 2-0 at home by a team on the road, by Aston Villa in a relegation 6-pointer as well. But still, following the game, as you could see, we had 2 player conversations here, both by our left wing backs. First ender Stevens not too happy with the first team football he's been lacking in recent weeks, and also Ollie Shaw said thanks for the first team football. Of course, the young 16-year-old who we sort of threw in at the deep end and said to him, so either sink or swim. To be fair, he's been swimming okay. It's more like doggy paddling from shore, really. He's not been doing amazing, but it's still swimming regardless. At least that's what I tell myself when I go swimming. All I can do is doggy paddle, man. Seriously, I have breaststroke, front stroke, back crawl, whatever they're called. I can't swim. I'm doggy paddling like shore right now, but still. We also had some scouting updates as well. Sadly, no one making our academy this time. And also our first transfer of the series as well. Young Reece York is wanted by a Swedish club, but I doubt he's going to go there. I'm pretty sure transfer talks are going to break down, as they often do, for young British players when a foreign club comes in. But also we did have a risk of losing 5 players as well. Of course, we put those players on the transfer list though, so I don't really mind about that at all. If they go on free transfers come the end of the season and get poached away by a club in January, that's totally fine with me. If we get a bit of cash for them, that's also totally fine with me as well. And for the second game of today's episode, we take on Wolves here away at Molineux. I want to show you the Premier League table as well, just before we dived in to the second game of 3 in today's episode, because you'll see right now there's a big gap gap between the top 10 teams in the Premier League and the bottom 10 teams in the Premier League. It's really congested in the bottom half of the table right now. Only a few points are separating multiple teams, but there's a massive gap of points between 11th and 10th place right now. So the league table has sort of been split into two. It's like the Scottish Premier League towards the end of the season. It's been split into two tables, or so it seems. And it's taken on Wolves for the second game of today's episode. Wolves are in 10th place right now, and they started the game off like they were a top half of the table team. First shot well saved by Henderson from range. It was still goalless, and the second chance fell 12 minutes in. Unfortunately, though, we didn't really get the rub of the green for this guy. It wasn't a cross that we failed to deal with. It was a shot that was blocked, and it came straight back to Vinagre, who plays it through, and Patrick Cutrone puts it past Henderson and makes it 1-0 to Wolves. So didn't really get much luck with the goal there, as Wolves do take the lead. But with 8 minutes to go in the first half, I can't blame bad luck or the AI or anything else for this goal. Wolves double their lead through Raul Jimenez, and I need to explain myself here. This was one of those moments in FIFA, and you've all had them. Don't be smirking at me, because you've had them as well, where you're getting frustrated, you're getting really angry with how the game's going. You're starting to lose your temper, starting to lose your cool. Ball goes out for a goal kick, and you're tapping X as quickly as possible to restart play. Sadly, Jack O'Connell and myself didn't see Raul Jimenez lurking as Henderson played in the ball. Jimenez snatches it, intercepts, and to be fair, it's a wonderful finish past Dean to make it 2-0. So, you know, the error from Henderson is all mine there. Absolutely no doubt about that. 2-0 to Wolves, and that was just atrocious. But again, it was one of those moments where I got just too frustrated there and couldn't keep my cool. But in the second half, 10 minutes after the restart, made a double change at the break. Brought on Brennan, who had his first and I'm sure last shot in a Sheffield United shirt. God knows how badly that one went, man. I mean, that was just atrocious. I don't know how on earth I messed up that shot so badly. But from the goalkeeper, we won it back. Lys Mousset played a 1-2 with Billy Sharp, and the Frenchman goes forward, but John Ruddy makes the save, as Mousset, who of course scored last night against Arsenal, is still looking for his first goal for Sheffield United since that Everton game where he bagged a brace. So it's still 2-0, and 20 minutes after the restart, Wolves would make it 3-0. A young forward off the bench, Storm forward, made mincemeat of our defence really, made it 3-0 to the hosts, and to be honest, it could have been 4 or 5-0 at this point. They were looking the better team, but we didn't give up though. We kept on looking for chances to get back in the game late on. Brennan held the ball up well here before finding Luke Freeman, who rolled it into Mousset. Once again, he fails to find the back of the net, but as Ruddy pushes it out, Billy Sharp gets his first goal of the season. Buzzing for Sharp. It does prove to be a consolation in the end, as we lose the game by 3-1, and rightfully so. Look at the stats here, 60% possession for Wolves in this game, but great to see Sharp on the score sheet and get his first Premier League goal for the Blades. Of course, in real life he scored on the opening day, that late equaliser, but great to see him get a goal there. I'm buzzing because I've been such a big fan of Billy Sharp all throughout his career. He's a goal scorer. He'll always get you a goal, and he did there, but sadly it was a consolation as it came in vain. 3-1 at the final score, and a defeat away at Molineux, which makes it 4 losses in our last 6 games. So a very tough run of form for Sheffield United. And I said in the last episode when December came round, this was going to be a big month. Lots of relegation 6-pointers, lots of big games, needed to play well and pick up points. And sadly, haven't really been doing well apart from our first 2 games of the month. So third and final game of today's episode, travelling to the south coast to take on Brighton and talk about a familiar story. 6 minutes in, what was I talking about in that game against Aston Villa? Crosses, they are our Achilles heel. We just can't deal with them, and that's why when the January window does open in a couple of weeks time, you best believe my first target is going to be a new centre back. Terrible piece of defending. Brighton 1-0 up, and really I wasn't one bit surprised. Our defending this season, particularly my defending this season, has been atrocious, and again, particularly from crosses. Every time the ball goes into the middle, I feel like we're going to concede. So it was 1-0 in the game. It was a really scrappy affair. Neither team really had hold of this game and grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, and we only had one real chance in the second half as well, right in stoppage time, with Freeman rolling through Robinson, but we only need the one chance to get ourselves the 1 point. Callum Robinson, our top scorer of the season, notched up his 5th Premier League goal, rescues us right at the death, and more importantly, prevents the loss streak from becoming 3. This would have been our 5th defeat in 7 games had Brighton held on for the victory. With basically the final kick of the game, the full-time whistle was blown directly from kickoff after this. Luke Freeman rolls him through, and with a first-time shot, doesn't need to take a touch, rifles it across the body of the Australian and into the back of the net in front of the travelling fan. So massive goal, that one. It could be massive come the end of the season as well. We managed to claim the point, prevent the loss streak from being extended, and get ourselves a very crucial draw in our bid to survive. live. But that will in today's episode of Career Mode, guys. So big thank you for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy today's episode, then please do drop a like. Much love to you, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon, featuring the start of the January transfer window.